Hey friends, in today's video, I want to talk to you about this weekly reset. Now, I don't do weekly reset videos because normally there isn't really much to talk about, but specifically this week, today, and tomorrow, a lot of stuff lines up to where you can have a very, very powerful PvP build done in a fraction of the time it normally takes. So, I'll explain all of that, starting with the Nightfall. The Nightfall is the Insight Terminus. Grandmasters just opened, and there is double Nightfall drops. This one's pretty doable, but I don't actually recommend doing the GM all the time. If you don't really have a team together, the Master mode is significantly easier because they add a sometimes beneficial modifier. Today is Ashes to Ashes, which means your solar weapons will be doing scorch damage in addition to the regular damage. Acute Void Burn is also on, but we're going to ignore that. Tomorrow or the next day might be lightning crystals. And lightning crystals is really important because if you're on a Titan, you can go Heart of Inmost Light and spam grenades repeatedly, and it makes this strike, or any strike really, an absolute joke. So either do Master Lightning Crystal or the GM with a group, and you'll get double drops, double Ascendant Shards, and double Mindbender's Ambition. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this one. It's an okay shotgun. It's a really good shotgun for Gunpowder Gamble if we're talking specific builds, but this is the role I recommend. Small bore, Acarize, Threat Detector, Range Masterwork, Adept Range Mod, and then the final perk is really up to you. However, I kind of like well-rounded because if I'm playing a solar build, I just throw a healing nade at my feet almost every gunfight anyway, so it's just a free 10 range and 10 handling. If you play Shadebinder, 1-2 punch is going to come up a lot, and if you play a melee-based class, even getting one stack of Swashbuckler on the second kill is pretty good. If you specifically play a Solar Hunter, Incandescent can spread the Scorch, and then you can use your throwing knife to ignite and maybe blow up a group. Very rare that that's going to happen, but it could. And if you absolutely cannot decide, Steady Hands is an incredible perk. So, moving on. We have the Pit of Heresy Dungeon. I just got through getting checkpoints for this. Pit of Heresy Dungeon has some of the best legendary armor drops possible. So, just to give you a sample, it gives you really, really spiky setups. I went for Discipline and Intellect one day, and you'll just see by this sample. Very, very easy to get those triple and quad 100 builds. So I recommend using this comment section or some sort of LFG Discord to share checkpoints for this boss, find a group of 3, and farm it with the appropriate ghost mod. I recommend Discipline almost always because most of my builds involve grenades. TLDR on armor is the stat total on it is split between the top 3 and the bottom 3. So what I try to shoot for on the top is the lowest mobility possible with the total of the 3 stats equaling 33 or 34. That's usually the minimum I shoot for. Then on the bottom, I try to get the one stat that I care about as high as possible, which is Discipline. On a lot of builds, I don't care for strength at all. So strength is anywhere from like 2 to 6. That's what I shoot for. I bring this up because today's video is about buildcrafting. The next crazy part of today's reset is that on the Dreaming City, we have the Chamber of Starlight Lost Sector. So I believe this is a solar burn. I'm going in with Unstoppable Grenade Launcher and a Solar Shotgun Trench Barrel with Synthoceps and the Consecration Melee. I believe this is a strat I saw from Scaryton. I just casually applied it and got a 42-second run, something like that. So it can be done in under 30 seconds. I've seen it done. So if you really want to grind this out, today's a great day for both Warlock and Titan, although Hunter can benefit from it too. You might be saying, wow, that's really fast. How are you accomplishing that? It's because you only have to kill the unstopped champs. You don't have to kill the overload ones that spawn on top of the cliff, cosplaying as a DMT user in quick play. See here, Consecration gets wound up, Wizard gets beat, You don't really have to use Wither Horde. You could use the Weaken Clear, but I'm going solo operative on this one. Then, of course, collect it, Lion Rampant. Then we check the Destiny item manager there, and sure enough, it pops up in a pretty decent roll, so I kept it. So if we pay attention to today in Destiny.com, we'll see that today's Chamber of Starlight, Solar Burn. You get boots. Boots are very, very useful for the majority of PvP builds. I'll just show you what I think is competitive here. Starting with Titan, Peacekeepers. Aikilos SMG is craftable this season, so the combination of those two, you already have an S tier build. If you can't decide on Titan, Dune Marchers is always an amazing default, because you may die 3 times in a row trying to get a melee off to hit a group, but the one time it succeeds, you do wipe the whole team by yourself, not to mention sprint speed to just get places and the slide. If you want to slide though, Antaeus Wards I think are better than Dune Marchers because you get the reflection shield, so it's very good in today's meta of Sight and Rampart sitting behind a shield. Antaeus Ward lets you get in, break the barricade, blank their shot, and like equalize the fight. So they are still very, very good, and I still think very slept on, a borderline broken exotic. If you like DMT, DMT is also seemingly bugged this season where it just gifts headshots out of nowhere. And so Lion Rampant lets you jump shot with DMT. Very, very powerful. Finally, we have Peregrine Greaves, which cancels Bubble Titans. You have to either be a Bubble Titan yourself or a Striker Titan. But if the Iron Banner mode comes up, you're going to want some Peregrine Greaves. Then the other boots, not as important, but if you want to go Vex Mytho class or some sort of solar hand cannon and go for 2 taps, you can do Path of Burning Steps, and Phoenix Cradle for raid scenarios, or the Iron Banner mode for extending your teammates' supers. So, to recap, go for Peacekeepers if you can't decide Dunes, and Teus. For Iron Banner, Peregrine. Just go Hunter. Starting off with Stompies. Have a better jump. Run faster, slide farther. That's why they're the best. Having that agility, meaning the ability to move and change direction very quickly, still wins games. Still the best. My second choice is Gemini Jester to take off radar, but this does require a lot of team coordination to capitalize on at the highest level of PvP. Starter Scales, very useful in raid scenarios and Gambit. Lucky Pants, I mean, Rose came out this season, and you can abuse using the lightweight bonus of Rose to have a pretty good hand cannon build with Lucky Pants. And then, of course, Frosties if you can't decide and want to actually shoot stuff in the air. I think that's it. Warlock, pretty much... Oh, no, you have a lot of good boots now. T-Steps, Reload, Sprint Speed. If you crouch while slowed by stasis or something, you still maintain a really fast crouch walk speed, like faster than your standing speed. So whenever you make a T-step build, I do not recommend really investing in mobility that much if you crouch walk or try to manipulate the radar a little bit. The next one I'm going to go with Rain of Fire. If you go a Fighting Lion and another grenade launcher, a la Epic Defender style of content, check his channel out. It's an incredibly powerful loadout. Borderline one of the best in the game. Secant Filaments lets you chain devour really easily in 6s. Some of the easiest we ran out of medals you will ever see with this exotic. Finally, Boots of the Assembler with Lumina is incredible even in 3s. A little less good with all the sight and barricades running around, but as soon as those are tuned even a little bit, you're going to start seeing this come out again. So that's the boot builds. Now, the next day, Aphilion's Rest can be done in about a minute, and this is arm build. So now let's look at the competitive arms, and there's a lot of them now. Starting off with Titan, there's only one, maybe two, and that one is Sight and Ramparts. Throw up a barricade you could shoot through. Now it's your opponent's problem. If they peek to break the barricade, they're getting shot at, so they don't peek to break the barricade. You just control the match by equipping these. The more you have, the better your chances of winning. They are broken and the most powerful thing for a very long time. There's a reason that I have, since they came out, never played PvP without these in my inventory. Anytime I play a cheater, these came out. Syntheseps is the second choice, but I wouldn't run that on Arc Titan, since you always can get knockout for free. Maybe with Juggernaut this makes sense. If you play Gambit, Stronghold's also pretty good. For Hunter, we're going with Young Ahamkara's Spine. These are crazy right now because here's all the things that they do. The Trip Mine is harder to shoot off the wall. If the Trip Mine would have dealt 1 damage, it deals the full damage of the Trip Mine. You get energy back for solar hits. Solar ability hits. And the Trip Mine doesn't damage you. So these are probably the best pick for Hunter. They are not slept on. Everybody knows how powerful these are now. What is slept on is Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves. With Forerunner and a very, very good sidearm, especially if you play controller, this can rip people in half when you have the bonus. I play it with Invis. That way, if I'm weak and I'm off the radar, someone has to peek a corner to try to chase me down, and I might not be exactly where they expect I am, and the damage bonus equalizes the TTK there, and I just end up winning. It's very, very good. Though I will say, Forerunner does not kill 10 Resilience Titans anymore, so this build's a little less good, although still very good. Oathkeeper, Lemonarch, or Wishender, also pretty good. And then, of course, Khepri Sting. I'll put some bonus points on Arthur's Embrace, build up some headshots, and then the knife has better tracking than your car's extended warranty trying to reach you. For Warlock, Aphinian Aspect is the move. My second pick goes to Necrotic Grip, and for the Iron Banner mode, Sunbracers. So why Necrotic Grip? Because the Arc melee or the Void melee pairs very nicely with it. And why Sunbracers? Because if you throw a Solar Inferno nade inside of a bubble, it will end them. If you're a Fighting Lion user, Getaway Artist, pretty decent. And finally, Ozymancy Gloves. These are also incredible in the Iron Banner mode, but good for cycling 2 turrets or for using the better Cold Snap nades. So that is why I did the weekly reset video today. 2 very strong lost sectors back to back. A Nightfall to replenish all of your materials with double drops. And one of the best and easiest armor farms available this week. It's not your normal weekly reset. The next days I would recommend is this setup right here, Concealed Void, Perdition, and Sepulture. These are not the fastest, but I do think they're pretty easy. That's Helmet, Boot, and Glove. Next up, I think Dares of Eternity is worth mentioning, just for the Ignition code. This is the loot for Dares of Eternity. Chroma Rush, Ignition, Grid Scripper, Farewell, Sojourner's Tale, Cypher, Main Ingredient, Long Shadow, Last Dance, Toil and Trouble, Wishbringer, and Last Perdition. I will personally be going for a Tube Grenade Launcher with Slide Shot and Frenzy. Slide Shot is better than Slide Ways compared to the Militia's Birthright because you can constantly reload by sliding. They could eventually change that in the future, though. It wouldn't surprise me. And then Frenzy makes it so that proxy nades kill or spike nades have a better radius. If you are a newer account or trying to get a friend into the game, Mayhem is an excellent mode to just get the raw EXP and power level to your character so that you could participate in Nightfalls. So to recap, Nightfall double loot, strong lost sectors, best armor farm from Pit of Heresy, and if you have a new account, there's a lot of easy things to do this week to get those base levels up while working towards an Ignition code, any of the Vanguard weapons, or the PvP weapons. I will try to follow up this video with my new alt account 0 to a PvP build. I'll just recap how I did it and what to recommend to friends who want to play this game. Even considering that we're about to get Nightfall, I think this is, Lightfall. This is one of the easiest weeks ever to make a good PvP build. Hope you found something useful in this video. See you in the next one.